Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to look at how we may go about adding data into our database from our HTML form. All right, so let's just do a quick check of what we have in our database. So earlier on, in our previous video, we looked at how to insert data. We inserted these data and create our database. You also looked at how to establish a connection with the database. So if we do a select query on the employee table. All right, so remember, before you can do this, you have to make sure that you have used the hotel database. So if we say select star from employee, you should be seeing the different employees here. All right, so make note of the headings that we have here. So we have ID number, employee ID, F name, L name, gender, country, salary, all right, and department ID. Also, we would have inserted some data into the department table as well. So we have in the department table, we have the department ID, department name, and location. So what we're going to look at, first of all, we're going to look at, let's do a query to see what is in the department table as well. So select. All right, so these are the departments that we have. So we are going to look at how we may go about adding data to these tables. So we're going to start by adding data to the department table from our HTML form. All right, so first of all, we'll just look at how we would go about setting up the HTML in order to add the data. All right, so to add the data to our database, first of all, we're going to create the interface. This is a form that is similar to what you would have done in your web development class. So we start off with our HTML tag, and we have here just a heading, and inside our body, we have a H2 tag that displays new student, and that's going to display it a little, not the largest, but midway there. And then here we have our form tag. All right, so we notice here that we have a method post action. That means whatever is going to be executed whenever we click submit, whenever we submit the form. So we have a save.php file. And we also realize here that the encryption type is a multi-part form data. All right, and then we have the regular form fields. So we have our input text, we have our name or date of birth, and we have our submit button as well as a reset button. All right, so it's just a simple HTML form. All right, so you're going to look at how to create this. I'm going to be doing this in Notepad. All right, so just open up Notepad and let's create a new file. All right. So this is going to be a HTML file. Include our head. Inside the head, we're going to have our title. It's going to be add department. All right. And then we're going to start our body. All right, so I can indent after. All right, so in the body, you'll just have the title H2. It's gonna say add new department. department / body / HTML. All right, so let's keep everything over here. All right, so let's see what we have so far. So this, I'm going to save this as add department.php. Again, everything will be saved to the folder that we would have created earlier on. So to the hotel folder, and change this to all files. And it's going to be add department.php. All right. So let's see what happens when we open up this in our browser. So we're going to go to add department. .php. All right, so notice it displays the heading, add new department. All right, so let's modify it some more. So inside our body, what we're going to be doing is we are going to now create a form. Let's say form, and the method that we're going to be using for the form is going to be post. And with post, we have two different methods that can be used. We have post and we have get. Whenever you use the get, all the information that is entered in the form is visible from the address bar. When you use post, it's actually hidden. So post is considered to be safer. Now the action is going to be equal to the file that should handle the submission. In this case, we're going to have a file called save.php that we're going to be using to handle the submission. So this file will be used to take the data from the form here and actually save it to the database. All right? So we'll see that in a moment. And then we have our encryption type. All right, so this is going to be multi-part. All right, so that's for the form header. In terms of the body of the form, we have, so we're going to be adding the fields based on what we have in the database. So we need department ID, department name, and location. Three things we need. All right, so we need department ID. We need department name and department location. All right. So the department ID will be entered using an input type of text. So input type equal to text. So this will just display a text box in which the user can enter data. All right, so input type equal to text. Name, of course, is going to be equal to department ID in double quotes, of course. And having done that, we are going to just close this. That's for the input. We're going to add a BR so that we break the line. So the next field will be entered below it. All right, similarly, for the department name, we have input type of text. But the name is going to be different. The name is going to be department name, not ID. So for the department location, input type is going to be text. The name is going to be equal to department location. All right, so these names will be useful when we are accessing the information that has been submitted in the form. All right, so we'll see that when we start processing the form. All right, so let me just indent these. All right. All right, so the next thing that we need to include here are our buttons. So we have two buttons. We have input type equal to submit. So we're going to put a submit button. The value is going to be whatever you want to be displayed on the button. In my case, I'm going to put submit. The name, submit. We have another one. It's going to be for the reset. So the input type is going to be reset. So automatically, when the reset button is clicked, everything in the, that has been written in the form will be erased. And the value will be equal to, you can put cancel or reset, whatever you want to put. All right. If we have a name, it will be cancel as well. Or resets. All right. Let's indent these. All right. Now this will create our form for us. And I also need to close the form tab. So I'm just going to indent these a little more so we can see it's a little more readable. All right. Slash form. All right, so this now is our add new department form. And if we save it and refresh our page, we should now be seeing some more stuff right, like this. All right. So don't mind the layout. We can fix that using our CSS. All right. So what we can do here now, if we enter data, so we enter department 1, a name for that department, like computer, location, science block. If we click submit, what it's going to do is it's going to send the data over to the save form, to the save.php file, but there's none there because we have not yet done the save.php. All right, so we're going to look at how to handle the saving of the data now by creating our save.php file. Now to do this, we are going to go back to Notepad. All right, so this is a form. And of course, as I said, we can format it more. We're going to look at the save.php file now. So I'm going to create a new file. And inside here, what we're going to do is we're going to start a PHP code. And what we're going to try to do is to get the data that has been entered on the HTML form. All right, so we're going to get the data that has been entered on the previous HTML form, and we're going to work with them here. All right, so we're going to be interfacing with a number of things here. So let me just save this so we can just. So this will be called the save.php. All right, so it's a PHP file. All right, so we're going to be interfacing with the connection file that we would have created earlier on. That's this one, the connect. All right, so we're going to be interfacing with this, and we're going to need this to use because this is what stores a connection. We're also going to be including this connect.php in our in our save application, in our save.php. So let's switch to it. So save. So the first thing we're going to do is to include connect.php. And the reason we're including it is because we need access to the connection variable that I would have indicated earlier on. All right. So once that has been done, all we're going to do is to check the submission. So we're going to check to see if the form has been submitted. All right, so let me just switch back so you can see what we're talking about. Remember the form. So we have our department ID, department name, department location, our submit form, and our reset. So we want to check to see if this form has been submitted. So we're going to say, first of all, we're going to say if is set, and that's going to be $_ post. If you remember the name that we use for the submit button, it's submit. So whenever the form is submitted, all the information regarding the name and the values are sent over using the post variable here. All right, so inside this post variable, we are checking to see if submit has been set. So if submit has been set, that means the form has been submitted. So once the form has been submitted, we can do the other things that we want to do. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do if the form has been set is to create a query to insert the data. All right, so I'm gonna create a query and the query will be stored in a variable. It's gonna be query equal to insert into student, not student, we are using hotel. Search into hotel. And let's just check the database again. So we're using we're inserting the data into the department table. All right, so let's bear this in mind. The department, so I have to bear these in mind. That's going to be insert into department. All right. And we are inserting the department ID, department name, and location. These have to be spelled, guys, the same way that they're spelled in the database. All right. Make sure that the spellings are the same as what you have in the database. Following that, we have value. So the value that we are going to be inserting is going to be these. All right, so we are going to be inserting, first of all, we're going to be inserting the department ID. It's going to be $_post. And these, what I put in the bracket here is the same as what is in the form field in terms of what we have for the names in the form field. All right, so I'll just show you again. So whatever you have for the name, so for example, if I was using this, whatever I have as a name, so if I have, say, first name here, that's what I would have used. I would say post first name. All right, so whatever we have for the name. So check your form field, and that's what we are working with. All right. So the first thing we're going to be putting in is the department ID. All right, so, and you notice it's surrounded by a single quotation. Then we have a comma. And the next one surrounded by a single quotation as well. And that's going to be $_post. And that's going to be the department name. Remember, even though mine is going to the next line, don't press enter to break the line. Just type go across. The department name, close a single quotation, another comma, and then we have $_post. And then so it's department ID, department name, department location is the next one. All right. And I think that's the last one. So I'm going to close a single quotation. Once you would have closed your last single quotation, close your bracket, and we're going to close this double quotation that we have here. All right. And then we include our semicolon. All right. So that is a query. All right. So once it's just like a regular query, just that the data is coming from the form and the data comes from the form through the post. It's like an array, but it's like an associated array. So it's post department ID to get the department ID, post department name to get the department name, post department location, and so forth. All right. So once that is done, we are just going to execute the query by saying my SQLi _ query. And inside here, I'm going to pass the connection variable that we would have created earlier on. This connection. Assign query. All right, so with that done, we should be able to insert the data into our database. All right, so let's save this. All right, and we can test it and see if it works. So let's look back at the departments that we have. Notice we have 4 departments. Let's try to add a department. All right, so to add a department, what we would do, just go here. And let's say we have department ID 11. Let's say it's called computer department on the science block. Well, let's refresh this first. So department 11, computer science block. Submit. All right, good. So even though the screen went blank, let's see if it actually works. So see if it works. Let's come in here. I'm going to do a query to see what is in the department table. And if we see computer department in there, it means that it actually works. All right, so it's mean that it works. So that's it. So thank you for viewing, and your task is to create a form and also a save method that can be used to save information to the employee table. So that is what you're going to do upon completing this. And see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.